Ceredigion, one of Wales's 22 counties, was a major part of the industry and commercial trade during the 18th and 19th centuries. The many bustling ports were used to export mined lead, silver and zinc. Cardigan Bay was one of the main ports of South Wales for a time. There was also a very large industry for dairy farming due to the flatter, softer ground making it better for cows than other parts of the country. I have recently been on a family holiday to this historical coastal county and found the places that I visited very interesting and intriguing. Therefore, I have decided to further research these places and make this short documentary, movie, film thing about my holiday and give both myself and whoever watches this an insight on both the historical and factual aspects of where I went during my 5-day holiday. We left to go on holiday on the Saturday, leaving around late morning since we weren't actually allowed into where we were staying until 3 o'clock-ish. We met up with the family members we were staying with in a Morrison's on the way there. There were 10 of us staying all together on this holiday. It was myself, my brother Zach, my mum, my dad, my nan, my grampy, my cousin Jess, my cousin Matt, Jake and Toby. We were staying in a cottage on Owl Farm, located in a rural area, but still only a few minutes away from Cardigan town. The farm was really cool and it apparently spanned out over 48 acres, and there was a field designated for guests to walk dogs or play games or whatever, and that is mostly what we did on the first day. We arrived and we brought the dogs up the field and played football. Owl Farm, which is a 10-minute drive from its nearest beach, Poppet Sands, which was just the other side of the village of St. Dogmiles. Whilst the rest of us went for a walk, my dad went for a run to train for his upcoming 5k race he had. We then went and sat on the beach on blankets, enjoying the sun and the view. I recall the weather actually being pretty nice, and being able to lay on the beach in the sun. However, it wasn't warm enough for me to go in the sea, but that didn't stop Zach and Jake from running in and then coming back out like wusses. There was, however, one man that I spotted who was going for a swim in just his Speedos. Poppet Sands was a very sandy beach with loads of sand dunes backing it, which Zach and Jake played in whilst I pretty much took a nap on the beach. The beach was quite busy because of the nice weather, but it's a pretty massive beach, so it wasn't anywhere near full. Poppet Sands is also the beginning of the Pembrokeshire Coastal Path, which spans 180 miles to Amroth. After we were done on the beach, we made our way back to the cottage and spent the rest of the afternoon and evening chilling out at the cottage. We woke up fairly early the next morning to go to Cardigan Island Farm Park. I've been there multiple times before and enjoy it equally each time that I go. The last time I came here was only last summer, and it was still as entertaining and enjoyable as any other time. After arriving, we made sure we bought bags of animal feed to feed to the livestock as we went round. They have a large number of sheep there, and since it was spring, it was also lambing season, so lots of newborn lambs. They also have a small sounder of swine, a flock of goats, ponies and Shetlands, and then other favourites including Dilwyn the donkey and Klinos the llama. There was, of course, then the other main reason that you go to Cardigan Island, and that is the colony of Atlantic grey seals that lives and breeds in the caves below the cliffs of the island's bay. I have visited the farm park around 5 times now, and each time I have seen at least one seal. They are all well adapted to people and tourists, and it's almost as if they perform for the tourists coming to watch them. Cardigan Bay is also home to the only population of bottlenose dolphins in England and Wales, apparently. Unfortunately, though, we didn't see any on this visit. However, I'm pretty sure that I have in the past. There is also the elephant in the room,
it's not true.
the gorilla in the corner, or the big rocky outcrop coming out of the ocean. the island. The island has a very interesting history and story behind it. Going back to the 1890s, the island was apparently home to puffins, or Welsh parrots as they were allegedly known as. By the 1920s, it was actually reported there were around 25 to 30 pairs of puffins on the island. However, this all changed pretty drastically after one night in 1939, the liner Herefordshire ran aground on the island in what was described as a hurricane-level storm conditions, and rats got off the boat onto the island. The rats then bred, and the rat population eventually outnumbered the puffins, apparently by 200 to 1. The rats then ate and killed off all of the puffin eggs, causing the population of puffins to completely die off. This infestation then led to the rats basically dominating the island. The island after this was left mostly untouched, I think, until about 1963, where it was sold for just £444. A flock of 1 ram and 6 ewes were introduced to the island, which over time turned into 83 sheep and 8 lambs in 1990. Then by 2007, however, there were only 2 left, and then when they were checked again in 2009, there were no signs of life. There have been multiple attempts by the Trust to reintroduce puffins and a variety of other species to the island, including exterminating the infestation of rats and placing decoy wooden puffins to attract others. And despite there being evidence of animals appearing from time to time, none have stuck to it as their home. After our walk, or scoot, around the cliffside of the park, we went back to the cafe of the park and had our lunch. I personally had carrot and coriander soup, the best kind. We then headed back home for the day with a quick stop to the local Tesco on the way. The week before this holiday, I was camping in North Wales on a scout camp. It was April, yet the temperature didn't go above 10 degrees the whole time we were there. We arrived there on Monday, and there was about a solid inch coating of snow on the ground in the field. The ground was so wet in the field from all the rain that we had whilst we were there, and the melt from all the snow, that any pressure applied to the floor of our tent made water seep through. This is why I was ill on this holiday. On the 4th day of the holiday, my cold climaxed, achoo, and I slept for a very large portion of the day. I then got up in the afternoon as we returned to St Dogmiles to go for a meal in a local pub restaurant. I settled on soup again, tomato and basil soup, though even with my cold I could still actually taste the basil-y goodness. I didn't get much footage from this meal since it wasn't much going on, just eating. We went to the Ferry Inn, built right next to the River Typhi. The restaurant was located right next to where the river splits into the sea. After this meal we went back to the cottage, and I wasn't feeling the best, so I went back to bed. But everyone else, besides myself, Matt and Toby, went back to Poppet Sands Beach to go for a walk. Apparently Grampy was doing drifts and wheel spins on the beach on his mobility scooter. I wish I could have been there to see it.
Weary.
This was one of the last days of the holiday, so we made the most of it. We were going further afield than any other day, going to some of our favourite places in West Wales. My mum had recently seen about this cafe farm shop advertised on Facebook called The Moody Cow. On our way to where we were going, we decided to stop there for a mid-morning snack. I had a white chocolate chip cookie and what felt like a gallon of tea, because when you ordered a tea, it came in a massive metal teapot full of at least 3 massive mugs of tea. I don't think I managed all of mine in the end. We then resumed our travels along to our first destination, Newquay. We parked in the same car park as always, the privately owned one right at the top of the town. After a quick walk down to the town, we went straight down onto the quay and we sat on the wall and watched the boats passing, full of people looking for dolphins. The stone pier was constructed in 1834. In 1839, a small stone lighthouse was built at the end of the pier, standing only 30 feet tall, and it was known as the Pepper Pot. Our next action was to look in the gift shops, where I went into the music shop and bought myself a new ukulele. Once I'd made my purchase, we went to buy our lunch. There is a very popular fish and chip shop, so we went there. They didn't allow dogs, so me, Dad and Matt all went to sat outside on a bench overlooking the sea, and we spotted multiple dolphins. Our next stop was Aberaeron. Aberaeron is quite a new town, only becoming developed in 1805 when a harbour was built there. A Morris chart shows that there was once a castle in the area near the town named Castell Cadogan, constructed about 1184 by Cadogan ab Bledin. In order to cross the Aberaeron harbour, there is a bridge going across where the estuary ends. Back in 1880, the bridge to cross was destroyed in floods, so in order to compensate, a hand-power cable car was installed across the harbour, named the Iron Express. When in Aberaeron, we had one clear mission: crabs. Last time we crabbed in Aberaeron, we caught literally hundreds of crabs from the waters below. We had purchased crab lines and nets in Newquay, so now we were ready to put them to use. But there was one big problem: we were out of crabbing season.
It's a little bit early, the water's still very cold.
Why, yeah.
It was April, so as this man pointed out to us, it was unlikely we would actually catch anything. We tried and tried for around half an hour, and to everyone's surprise, we actually managed to catch 2 crabs.
That's right. Oh, I should have brought...
The man who had earlier told us that we wouldn't find any crabs felt really bad, so he came back with his boat and offered to take us for a ride.
I'll take him for a ride if he wants to go out.
And myself, Zach, my dad and Jake all boarded the boat and started it out of the harbour. The man who owned the boat had recently done some maintenance or something, so he needed to bring it out for a spin to make sure everything was okay. So he took us out for quite far out into the bay, giving us a good view of the whole of Aberaeron and the surrounding area. After I took plenty of photos and video, we started making our way back in from the harbour. It was starting to get quite late by the time we'd done all that, so we headed back to the cottage. We stopped in Tesco on the way, and when I got home that night, I'm pretty sure not long after dinner, I went up to bed and just slept. I didn't film anything on the last day. I was mostly just packing all my stuff, loading up the van, and off we went. This was probably one of my favourite family holidays in a while. I enjoyed the places we went, the people I went with, the stuff that we did. I was glad to have experienced it all and capture it on camera.